opening. All right, so good evening. Doing a little market update video here, and we're going to do this live right now. It's probably about 5:48. I want to talk about the setups going into tomorrow, and actually some good stuff on the Rambot too, and some of the HPS divergences we want to take during the market like this. Anyway, market was down, follow through day from Friday. Going into that Brexit, it's just an unknown event. We haven't done this before. The market's unstable. There's two concerns for me out there. Is what's the next shoe to draw? I use shoe, but that's, whatever the next event is that a bank defaulting, whatever, something with the banks in Europe, or is there another country who's going to, call for a referendum and a vote? So there is a lot to look out for, and that's gonna be the main topic of conversation for a while. It's just hard to get out of that, knowing that that type of event could just ruin your setup. So you have to go out there knowing that it's not the normal setup. That being said, we did notice that there were some key levels that were identified by divergences today. In the middle, when we started selling off, we actually blew through a couple. But then what happens is you start to see that the market starts to put in a pattern. And when you're able to do that 1, 2, 3 pivot area, especially with these candles that are starting to show up here, you extend those down. And if you really starts to confirm here, you could really start to really count on that. So as these levels line up, and this channel lines up, and there's actually, let's take a look back here. There was 2 trend lines down here. I extended this out. So we actually came down to a trend line, and it was an X marks the spot, and we had a divergence. And when the market is selling off on news, we know it's very dangerous. So, but it tends to play out when you have multiple. That would be a higher. Your buy entry would be at a higher criteria due to the volatility. And I think having that recognizable channel, having the divergence happen at the same time, not just the divergence, I'm saying, because divergence is working great, but when you have something also that's underneath that divergence, it's logical to take that trade. And you can see the 5-minute here was a great setup, and it actually confirmed itself here with a larger 5-minute. We moved up here. We kind of blew through this 1-minute divergence. It wasn't a visual divergence, though, and that's the difference, because during the day we have our Rambot marking off everything, but we'll get them marked off on the visual, and because it's a formula that we're doing a comparison between the price and the level of stochastics and watching how they relate to each other, you could get a mini divergence and not really see it here. So it's good to be alerted to it. That way we start to look for it. That's what it's meant to be, and I try to visually confirm each of the setups when they do set up. All right, so not each one is meant to be taken on its own, but it will show you all of them, even the ones that are mathematical in nature. So that way you could really, plan at your trade. So just, I wanted to make that point of just waiting for the multiple indicators to line up. And waiting for maybe the 5-minute, 3-minute setups now that we have the 3-minute on the Rambot. A lot of the good setups today were actually dual time frames. So we had a 1-minute, 3-minute here, and then we had a 1-minute, I think a 3-minute, 1-minute here. Look at this divergence here. This was a really, actually, let me go back here. That's not a high. Yeah, I think that was one. Let me double check. There we go. Can't get my lines to go. There it is. Yeah, it was. So I would say that was close to a divergence, right? Yeah, that was a divergence. So, that registered also on the Rambot. Everything worked out really nice on the channels, and I was even surprised because we came down to 330. We bounced right off of that trend line, broke out, and broke back down here right at the close, because I think there was a downgrade on the English bank or bank, whatever, Barclays maybe. There was some news after the market on the British bank, a downgrade on one of them, and that pushed this market here, kind of just sold off here, and we actually closed right on the lows, 1982. So the big question is tomorrow. I want to show you the bigger picture And you can see not a bad wedge pattern. I kind of like this. I give this one a little bit more respect. We could probably even tighten this up a little too. I gotta make sure. It's very close. But you get the picture of it. We're in that channel within a channel. We have a lower level down below us. We have a pattern that typically breaks to the upside. But again, we have news, so everything is suspect to the news. Even though we like the pattern here. So now we wait for the other shoe to drop, and it almost feels like that is bound to happen, right? I mean, something has to come of this. It's hard not to have some protection to the downside here. We want to see that event so we get it past us and we don't have to worry about it. Right now, it's going to be crazy trying to stair step back up, unless it's just someone comes out with an all clear sign. It has to be some kind of understanding that this thing is a big joke anyway. So you know what I'm getting at. When the market doesn't go through this event all the time, you can't read into the future yet. We have to let it play out. So turnaround Tuesday, we'll see. I think everything's based on news at this point. We have to see how each morning when we get up or overnight, Europe opens up and see what kind of news comes out. That's going to dictate the market. And we'll take a look at a couple. I continue to say that Verizon here is going to be one of the better ones. If you take a look at that 60-minute, you can see that's a 60-minute flag. And that flag is breaking out. Even though we're close to being extended here, we're not. And, I think the worst is not the worst for us. Whatever the worst case scenario is, there's two scenarios that I think that are playing out. Another country is going to, or some kind of rumor or something is going to drive this market lower, saying that if another country leaves, then they're going to be just talking about the collapse of the European Union, just how the media is going to spin everything. And I think that's going to be negative for the market. It's going to be stuck. But if things do not go that way and we just hang here, I think there will be talk of a safety area in the United States or in the U.S. markets. And I think we will see money flow into these bigger stocks that have been performing the last couple of days. The telecom, maybe even the utilities, but mostly dividend-paying stocks. Even some of the consumer staple stocks that have been very strong. You can see those just continue to hang on there. So we're going to focus on anything. If we're going to focus on anything, it's going to be those type of stocks. And there's not much of a change from what I put out on Friday. I mean, there's such a good list on Friday, and I did 2 videos on Friday. So and this is just Monday here, so it's not much more I'm going to add, but I will review them right now fast. AMT. I like this a lot, AMT, waiting for a better flag. But I'm in some positions now, and I don't want to get too much, I want to talk about those. Excuse me. I got to close this a second. I'm still here. I want to try to get something set up here. All right, there we go. I just want to... All right, let's start off with the CBS. All right. Well, I like these wedge patterns. This has a nice wedge pattern. It's the third test of the lower trend line. It has the potential for that divergence. We start to turn back. There's a lot of interesting things here. It's not my favorite, but enough to start a small position down here. The other one that had a fantastic bounce off a wedge pattern trend line like this was today, PSA. And take a look at that wedge pattern. You'll see better on the daily. Look at that wedge pattern. Look at that daily pop. And this was, perfect candle from Friday. A big divergence. Definitely seeing this eventually, follow through to the upside. At this point, you know, the 60 minutes is probably up there. It becomes a little bit more interesting. You don't want to chase or get in here. I would say if this thing pulls back, you know, you start to realize what's happening, you could get in, have plenty of room to go. I don't know. I'm not sure if we're going to get that pullback. If the market does come up with some news, again, all these might be affected. This was a nice move off of that. You already got it. Wait for it. All right. Eli Lilly holding calls in this one. You could see strength coming into this one. Now, this was a divergence back here, and then we kind of drifted, and I still liked it. Then the market got a little rattled here, but this thing spiked down and reversed, and then you can see it's actually pushing back up. This definitely feels like we're going to break out of this to the upside. I mean, you know, unless there's some news, companies specific or sector news that's really going to affect this. This technically looks very strong. Good volume came into it. I think we're going to be fine with that. Carnival Cruise Line's coming out with earnings tomorrow. It's a gamble. I'm not in that. Some other ones that are just performing well is like the Clorox. Look at this Clorox. I mean, this is a big day on Friday with the big tell, big volume, and the follow-through. What if we continue? What's going to stop the money from just flowing into something that's working? We're going to stay away from the Deutsche Bank, and we're going to stay away from Credit Suisse because we don't know if these banks are going to have a total meltdown. So I'm just keeping my distance. I thought about getting into one of those, but backing off. Dollar General. How can you go wrong? All right. So what are we up to? Dollar General, DRI, Darden Restaurants. That one actually pulled back today. We were actually holding good strength, and it did break down. EAT, that one also. So it's kind of a sector rotation here, and that's still kind of dangerous. You have that real big area of support, but could be facing some downside. GIS, a couple more for you. Again, you can see why you should be liking these stocks. General Mills, nice flag holding 20-period moving average. KR, Kroger, talked about it. It was a big pop today. Big pop, big volume. It's just a matter of time. And it's funny how these all are moving. Big moves here in this type of environment. So it really is showing you that's, there's added interest into these stocks. McDonald's did not react, did not get a bounce on that. We were watching that lower trend line. And then, of course, Altria, that was continues to be really strong. Look at that volume that came in. And then I like the USFD, I have a feeling that there's probably good things here. Stop underneath the recent lows, 22, it's 23.76, $1.50 stop. And that's how she wrote that one. And then, of course, the VIX is a little weird. I mean, it's slowly moving up, but it's not, definitely it didn't perform like I expected it today. I would like, the market did gap down quite a bit and or reversed and closed down. And wow, the VIX did not show the strength that you would like to see in that if you're in it. But that typically kind of translating into there's not much fear in the market, and you feel that also. It's kind of orderly. It's not like we're breaking down and there's fear in the markets. Yeah, it's down a little here, but remember how far we've come. We're still very close to all-time highs. We did pull back here. We might even pull back a little further. All right. So that's going to be the update for tomorrow. And I will catch up with everyone in tomorrow morning. All right. So, all right. I'm going to turn this video off, and then I got to call Paul. I think he's calling me.